Open the meeting. First order of business is minutes from prior meetings. Any questions there? Any concerns?
Nope.
All right. Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? All right. Motion passes. Next on the agenda, bills. Anything of note there, John?
Sure. Give a summary of the bills for last month. Biggest expense we had was our annual membership to Open to Business. That's a $5,500 expense. Had some energy costs for 213 Ramsey Street, which accommodated a couple of months, some legal fees, and then the landscape fees we have for Block 28 will be falling off now because of the rent agreement that we have for the garages and Spiro Pizza. So I could stand for any questions.
All right. Looking for a motion to approve the bills?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay? All right, motion passes. Next order of business, business. All right, A, John?
Sure. On the agenda, we have an item to authorize signature of a purchase agreement for 400 Vermillion Street. We're going to be asked to remove that item from the agenda tonight. We do not have any action to report pertaining to that. Offer is still in the hands of the property owners, and we hope to have some agreement coming forward in the future and bring that forward at a later date. Thank you.
So nothing to pass there. And then B, resolution for the redevelopment of incentive grant for Riviera Theater.
Yeah, absolutely. So staff received an application from Alan Blankenship, who is the owner of the property at 213 Sibley Street, asking for facade improvement grant funds to finish painting the marquee that's on Sibley, upgrading the marquee lighting, and tiling the underside of the marquee. It'll look great when it's all done. Project has total costs of $5,000. So under the program, we would be able to reimburse $1,666.67. And Mr. Blankenship does have to be in communication with the Historic Preservation Committee to get all work approved. But I will stand for any questions.
I agree. I think it's going to be, if we can light that marquee up, I think that's going to add so much to the ambiance of downtown. Is that all been converted? Do you know anybody know anything about the building? Has it all been converted into office, or is there still like a theater?
Combination of both in there. I know that it's been a couple of years since I've been in there, but Black Dirt Theater, I believe, still has practice space within there. There's some office space, and there's a couple of residential spaces within there.
The marquee will be just cherry on the top if we can get that.
All right, looking for a motion to approve that resolution?
I move to approve Resolution 2024-08.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, motion carries. On to number 5, reports and information.
Yeah, we're starting budget period all over again. Seems like we just got into the new budget, but take some time to put things together. What I wanted to do tonight is have a preliminary discussion with HEDRA pertaining to priorities that we have. We just adopted the strategic plan a month or two ago, which establishes some of the activities we'd like to do. Some of those do require funding. The funding that HEDRA is comprised of comes from 2 different sources. One is what we call our HRA levy, which last year generated about $510,000. Within the next few weeks, we expect to have valuations for 2024, and we'll be able to calculate what that amount will be as we go into the 2025 budget. The other portion of that is general levy dollars that we get from the city council, allocation that we ask through the city council for HEDRA-supported activities, and then part of the activities come through our fund balance. From a city council perspective, this is a tough budget year. We have expenditures pertaining to the PFAS treatment plants, which need to be constructed over the next 5 years, of $70 million. We've had a lot of attempts at funding on that, but we have not secured funding to date. So that is a big portion. I think the first portion of that, as we look at the 2025 budget, is going to be north of $25 million as we look at expenditures. So that is a big item that the council is considering. I think the direction that we've had as staff members here as we put together our budgets is to keep that in mind. We certainly have priorities and things that we want to fund so that we can continue our activities, but to be mindful that we do have this larger expenditure coming up. So I thought it would be good to look at what we spent money on last year and any discussion direction that HEDRA might be able to provide on priorities. I'm certainly not looking at dollar figures tonight or anything like that, but really are things more important or less important than others? So when we looked at 2024, we spent money on our facade improvement program, as we saw earlier tonight, $50,000 allocated towards that program. Last couple of years, first year we had full allocation, and then it's been dropping off a little bit year by year. We have discussed in our strategic planning that the funding that we put towards facade improvement would be a good source for Highway 61 assistance when the construction occurs there. We have a revolving loan fund of $120,000. That's coming out of our fund balance. It's not allocated funds necessarily from the budget, but part of our fund balance that are paid back over time. Have not had any applications on that yet this year. That is really to assist in gap financing for different projects. We have our downtown environmental cleanup. This is a $100,000 placeholder we've had the last few years pertaining to the land north of Art Space. We know that there's contamination in the ground, and that contamination will require cleanup in the future, and this would be used as a match for an anticipated grant fund when that comes around. We had $90,000 in consultant services for legal and other entities there. We had $5,000 for a business incubator, which we did some research on and really have determined that at this point we're not moving forward with it. So there are really no other further expenditures there. We're working on what's termed here Western Highway 55 annexation. We're calling it kind of a Highway 55 small area plan. Looking at taking the area that's directly west of the city and planning out future land uses and economic development there. The important thing for consideration is we are not looking to acquire any properties, nor are we looking to encourage annexation. What we're doing is planning for the future. We believe there'll be people that'll be seeking annexation, and we would have a plan for what we would desire with that annexation came into the city. We've got some building maintenance repair funds, our community development intern, and then some money for marketing. So that was comprised most of what we had for 2024 budget. What I will be doing over the next month is putting together a budget for HEDRA activities to turn into the city administrator and to the finance committee of council, and they'll be going through those. So there'll be some reporting back on that as we move forward. But prior to me submitting the budget, I thought it would be good to discuss some of these items with HEDRA and determine if there was items that were either more or less important. So I'll stand for any discussion.
Of that 50,000 that we had in the budget, I mean, how much of the facade improvement program have we used? And I'd have the same question for the revolving loan fund too. I mean, nice to have that there in case, but it seems like that's almost, I mean, the facade improvement has been utilized a lot in the past, but it feels like that's becoming less and less. And I can only recall, I think, one time using the revolving loan fund.
Yeah. With the facade improvement grant program, I would anticipate that 10,000, 15,000, if that.
Yeah, I'd have to check on this year. We haven't had many applications yet this year for it. But I know there was discussion on whether we retool that, those dollars for modifying the existing program or looking at Highway 61 business support during the reconstruction project. But as of right now, we haven't had a ton of draw from it. I think 2 this year.
Okay, so 20%-ish, somewhere in there? Or
Yeah, if that.
50, yeah, okay.
You talking facade improvement or that revolving loan?
Well, I guess I had a question
dollars?
on both, so revolving
Okay.
loan, or,
Because I don't
Facade.
recall that being tapped for quite a while, right?
We have not had a revolving loan since I have been here, so 1 year at least. And I don't think I saw any applications come through for a revolving loan last year at all, even before.
Spiral Co-op, I think, is the last one I recall.
Yep, and
That's
that
been
may
a
have
while.
been 2, maybe 3 years ago. So, and I think that one was close to 100,000, 50 to 100,000 on that one. So with the revolving loan fund, we've had that around for about 20 years or so. And it's, we allocate funds from our fund balance to pay for that program. And it seems like every couple of years we get one. So utilization is fairly typical. It's tough to know when that comes available, but certainly one of these items too, that if we're tight on something, that it's not utilized annually.
I just want to comment, I like the idea of reserving funds for the businesses on 61. It just shows that we were prepared and mindful for this. It just reminds me of when University Avenue was having their light rail put in, and a lot of the businesses struggled, and some are still today.
Hey, John, do you know the portfolio size of those loans? Because they get repaid back over time.
They do.
And does that replenish our funds, or is it?
You know, Bruce, very good question. I don't have those figures in front of me, but it would be, we haven't had a report back on that in quite some time. I'll put that on the list on July to have an analysis or what our position is.
Okay. Thank you.
Piggybacking on Commissioner Carter's comments too, I think, having a goal of 0 businesses closing during the 61 construction that's an important thing, I think, for this body to have. And so the more we can do now and prepare now and next year, right? I think that's huge. And that $100,000 for environmental cleanup too, I think that's been on there for quite a few years. I think we maybe got close one time to thinking about that property
Yeah.
selling. And now with a pump going in there, that footprint got a lot smaller. So it seems like, to me at least, there's at least 3 things on this list that can be reappropriated to the 61 fund.
I agree with everything on 61. I think that is really important. We're going to have a work session with, I think it's the CDA, on some dollars for housing. I'm just wondering if we can't, I don't know what's going to be available out there as far as where we're going to go in that direction, where we want to put our dollars, what opportunities there are for matching or anything like that. And I don't know how that timing works in with what we're doing here, but I'd like to just raise it that I still think that we are a little lacking on being a little bit more proactive on housing issues. And we are the housing authority. So I would like to see, I don't know how that timing's going to work out, but I would just raise that as
Okay.
a thought.
Yeah. And along with that, the meeting we had scheduled for July 15th, I think it was, we, CDA had a scheduling error there. We couldn't make that meeting. So we're looking at, I think it's the 22nd or 24th, Dan? 22nd. It's a Monday night. I'll send that over. That something slipped my mind this week, but I'll get that over to you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, moving forward, I think that by the time the council sits down and really evaluates, income and expenses and budgets moving forward. My personal take is, I think it's a situation that everybody's belt is going to get tightened some, and we're going to have to adjust moving forward depending on how the budget discussions go further. So I would just enter that point in there and say, there's a number, what I see as far as HEDRA goes, some very needy things that need to be kept into the system. But overall, once the council decides on how we're going to move forward financially, then there may be some reactions that are going to have to be taken. Thank you.
I'd just follow up on that because I cannot, for some reason, open my PDF for this. How much of our budget is allocated dollars through the levy that are HEDRA dollars, that aren't city dollars?
Excuse me. Commissioner, last year we had a little over $500,000 of the budget that went through. The budget itself, that probably represents close to half.
Half is
Yeah.
levy funds that we
Yeah.
would have to use on HEDRA. Okay. So the other half, we don't know where that's going to be. Okay. That's my question. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, if nothing else, we'll move on to B, Makers Market Update.
Commissioners, the first Makers Market is going on right now. First count down there are 31 artisan vendors that are established right now, and I'm going to have 3 food truck vendors as well. So it's been great. The next market is currently at vendor capacity for 35 artisan vendors. So we're really excited for it, and be sure to stop down after the meeting's over. Any questions?
I was down there before coming to this meeting, and it looks pretty good, to be real honest about it. I think that they're going to have a good night down there.
I was down there too. I took my little bike ride through there, and yeah, it looks great, Alex. Good job.
Thank you.
So put a special thanks out to Alex for the work that he's put in here to organize this. And then we have a summer intern, Lindsay Duggan, who will be hopefully joining us 1 or 2 times over the summer. She's down there managing operations right now, so it's great.
The weather doesn't hurt.
No.
All right, moving on to item C, Southeast Real Estate Event.
Yeah, so last meeting I brought up that John and I were going to be attending the Southeast Metro Development Summit, and the event went really well. I think there were probably 70 to 80 real estate professionals there, and we got to get a really good in-depth view into the development climate of Dakota County and Washington County. Helped build a strong network, make some new connections, and those connections are really important, especially looking at the Block 28 redevelopment project that we have prioritized. And want to do a couple of thank yous. One to Raisa Motala, our broker from Evoke Partners, spoke on giving some context into the industrial space in Dakota County and Hastings specifically, so got some great marketing for the site there. And then also to Pat Regan for speaking on his experience in partnering with the city on the Confluence Hotel project. I'll stand for any questions.
All right, item D, Development Updates.
Well, a few things been going on around town here. We had the city council approve the comprehensive plan and rezoning for Mint Development National Retailer site at Pleasant and South Frontage. So land use has been changed on that. I anticipate the application to come forward for the rest of the land use entitlements in the next couple of months. Again, they need to have the land use entitlements and close on the property by the end of the year. The council will be looking at a plan for United Heroes League for about 1,200 seats for stadium seating and locker room facilities underneath it for the site on Ravenna Trail. That'll be going to council on Monday night, as well as a small plat on Pleasant Drive and County Road 46. Dakota County is proposing this. It's subdividing the property into two outlots, which means that the property would need to be replatted before it's developed in the future. The outlots do not allow for development to occur immediately. It's essentially being used by the county to subdivide property for future development. So more action will be needed in the future for that to move forward. We have plans that we're reviewing for Rio Grande Express at 31st Street. This is a property that we have under agreement to sell to them by the end of the year. We're hopeful that plans will be submitted to bring to Planning Commission here in the near future. Was down at South Oaks 4 in the rain yesterday. They are done grading over there, just about. Street-based utilities are in, and I think that they're going to be looking to put a model home up there very soon, so that's moving along great. Mentioned earlier, the Lake Isabel Flats, building completion has occurred, and the ribbon cutting occurred on June 6th. Heard lots of great things about the building. It's great to see the culmination of the efforts that were involved with HEDRA and the HRA before that in acquiring sites and demolishing property and establishing things to have that apartment move forward. We're moving forward with our zoning code update as well. Codometrics, our consultant, was in town last week to meet with the planning commissioners and a few other community members. They will be working on putting together a status report over the next month and then determining public input and communication during that time as well. We're also working on a small area plan for Highway 55, as I mentioned previously. Alex and I were involved in some interviews with that over the last few days, so we hope to bring that forward to council for selection on July 1st. And then the Storage Works project on Glendale and Spiral keeps moving along. So I could stand for any questions.
All right, with that, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? All right, meeting adjourned.